Welcome to the Ramblings of a Designer podcast. This is where we discuss design news and articles from the past week. My name is Adam, and this is Terry.
Hi, Adam. I'm just like Adam, a rambling designer that probably goes 24/7, or I half the time if I'm at work, I pretty much talk to my computer all the time. So people think I'm kind of out there, but that's okay. That's what design is about, having fun.
So how about we start with how was our last week?
Well, actually, my last week was fabulous because I was on vacation.
Right.
Yeah, so that was the first time I think in my life, in my whole design career, that I didn't have my laptop with me. I didn't have anything with me. I just had my cell phone, and that felt very, very weird. I actually took my laptop into the Apple store to get it, fixed and tune up and everything like that. So that cost me a pretty penny. It was worth it. My whole experience with not having a laptop was very interesting because it's like, where's my laptop? I don't have it, and even half of my family's all, oh, where's your laptop at?
See, it's one of those weird things. It's like when you don't have it, you're like, oh, you know what? I actually don't need it. Oh, that's great. I think I can do fine without it. But as soon as you get it, you're like, give me that laptop. I need it. I need it right now. I've missed so much.
Yeah, it's pretty much, I know there's parents out there or that have dogs or children, and your laptop has become one of your babies or one of your kids because you don't want nobody to touch it, or they might harm it, or your files are on there. All your hard blood and sweat is on this device. And while I was back in Hawaii and stuff, it was very interesting to see people's experiences when they check into hotels, or if they're down in Waikiki, the atmosphere. So that was very interesting, when we work in UX and UI, or especially UX form of trying to have this user have this great experience with our application. That goes the same hand in hand as a shopping experience, or when you're going someplace new. How was your experience? Was it good? Was it great? Did you have a good time or a bad time? Or, or was there friction? If you wanted to go someplace, was there friction from you not getting your car rental on time? Or was there friction when you getting on board on an airplane? So I experienced all that without my laptop. So that was kind of a good experience with not having technology in your hand or in front of you. It was actually other things that like if an airplane wasn't working, or basically on the way back trying to get of our luggage, the conveyor belt broke down, so we had to wait about an hour. I mean, those kind of experience, it's almost the same thing as having an app. Like, oh my God, the app isn't loading. It's just taking over and over and over. So real world experiences and having tech experience, application experience, they do go hand in hand when it comes to friction. So I thought that was kind of interesting kind of bring up in a weird way.
Yeah, it's real life user research. My week was, it wasn't too bad. Actually, my week was a lot of pharma. For some reason, I did two extracurricular pharma activities last week. One was, one was kind of I think I experienced my first problem client, which, I mean, it wasn't too bad. For me, I have a lot of patience, so it wasn't too bad, but this client just seemed to be a little weird. So like, first off, I have this client that feeds me different design work every now and again from their client rosters that they have. And for this one, usually, it just seemed a little weird because I couldn't talk to that third party client directly. He didn't want to talk to me directly. He only wanted to talk to my client that I talked to. And so all our communication was kind of telephoned to each other. And I was like, well, I really can't. I mean, if I could just have a meeting with you one-on-one, it'd make a lot of sense. Like, having this kind of third way interaction is taking forever. And it took you all days, because I would send something, I'd wait for the person to reply, and then they're like, oh, well, this person said this. Okay, well, I'll try to make the change because you told me like a day late. So it's going to take me another day to make these changes. And it took forever. But the problem was that we finally got through one illustration, and they liked it. They said it was great, but then they said, oh, we need 10 more, and this time I'll talk to you directly. And I said, okay, great. Let's try to get this done. And the problem is that they were like, hey, we're going to need this as soon as possible. When can you have the first round ready? I was like, first round? We haven't even got to talk to, I haven't even got to talk to you and have a kickoff about this. Maybe if we hop on a call. It's like, no, it's not going to work. And so I'm kind of in limbo with this project right now. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know. I don't even know if it's still going on, because they haven't replied to me yet after I sent over just some sketches. I was like, look, I can't, I still have a lot of questions about the project. If we could just have a quick call, here are some sketches, but maybe if you could just point me in the right direction. And that's kind of where we left off. And
oh man,
yeah.
that. I mean, I'm like visioning this picture as you're telling your story, and then I see big, like huge, beautiful tree growing with flowers and fruit and whatnot. And then as you're telling your story, it gets yuckier and yuckier, yuckier, and the branches are falling down, the fruit's falling down, everything's breaking away. And then you have of like maybe one branch, fruit, a trunk, a couple things, and they're kind of like teetering, do. But then again, it could grow back up again too. So I wouldn't count on the client of just quitting. I mean, if you can make one more effort, and maybe you can just ask them of what kind of examples they want. Ask for visuals of what they like, and you can just take a stab at it. And well, I think it's like this, and just send it back the next day and see what they say.
Yeah, I mean, it's all really just on me and my persistence to get this project done. I mean, if I really push for it, I'm pretty sure I can. The only problem is that I'm worried about getting into more deeper involved into this when I feel like the client is going to be still even more of a problem. If he's going to continue like this, I don't know if it's even worth it, to be honest.
Yeah, that's true too.
So it's kind of a 50-50. I'm still kind of debating what I should do. I think what I should do is talk to the mediator and just see if they've had any contact with them yet, and just see what we can do. I'm not sure. But I think it just goes to show that like communication, people always say designers need to, you need to be a great communicator, and but I think it works both ways. You also need to have a client that's also, responds when you need them to, and be willing to answer your questions when you need them. Like I feel like it's kind of unfair not to be able to have just some time to talk about the project, like even just through email. I mean, that's the worst way to do it, but hey, if I could get my questions answered through email, then that's something.
Yeah, I think you brought up a really good point, that basically communication, it goes both ways, because if you're all doing work on this side, and and your other half is like going blind, and you're going down this road, and then you show it to the client, like, oh no, we want to like this. You're like, and your hands are tied, like, well, you never told me. I don't know. I can't read your mind. I don't know what that means. Or when they reply, of giving you feedback, like, oh, I wanted more sparkly. You're like, what does sparkly mean? Or I wanted more wow. It's like, what does wow mean? So when we get that chance working with the client, I think we need to educate them of saying, this is my process, this is how I want, and this is how to drive it. And if they're not going to follow suit, then maybe that's not the client for you. And you just say, well, you know what, if you want a better product or a better outcome, this is the design process, and this is what I follow by. And you just stick to follow that. Or maybe alter it a little bit for them, just a little bit, but not too much. You don't want to go 360, like we're totally around. But yeah, see, and just go with your gut feeling. If you feel like it's not working, drop it, move on. there are plenty other clients out there for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's not that big of a problem for me. Even my last email when I told them like, hey, if you could just reply just to be efficient, let's just keep this at sketches, hand-drawn sketches for now, because I feel like he wants me to have all these illustrations done, and then he'll comment on the illustrations. I'm like, wow, that's not going to work that way, because you want me to make completed work that takes forever, and then have changes on that work. Whereas if we just make all these changes in the sketch phase, it'll be a lot cleaner and fun. It's just I'm just trying to find ways to avoid more work for me, unnecessary more work.
Yeah, and that's the same path as doing designing it for apps or for websites. Of your sketching phase is like doing the wireframes, because you want to get really close to other sketches or to the wireframe as much as possible. And then when you go to concept to actually design and everything, yeah, some changes are going to happen. It 99.99%. It does make changes, but those changes are not like extremely changes. In some cases, it is
Mm-hmm.
because the business objectives has changed, and that has happened.
So yeah, I mean, other than that, my other farmer project was just a presentation, and that one went smoothly. They're like, hey, we need weekend work. Can you work on this deck for us? I was like, yeah. I turned it over in like a day, and then that was that.
Oh,
So a
there
lot of
you go.
pharma, yeah, a
That's
lot of pharma, a lot of different contrasts between clients. These ones are repeated clients that are like, hey, we just need this turned out real quick. I'm like, oh, I'm your man, and that's it.
Well, hey, that's a good win. That's a very good win. And basically, I actually had a question,
Hmm.
because I'm sure there's a couple designers out there as well that might be asking this question, is like, how did you get of your client, or like, how did you get started? Because I know I have a couple freelance students that they asked me as well, like, oh, how did you get started, or where did you get of your clients?
Hmm. For me, a lot of the side work I get is referral based, is all based on referral. I know some of the past clients I got was because past coworkers from other jobs, they knew that I was a designer, that I did pharma related work. So then even though they had left and didn't work there anymore, they just said, hey, if you needed a designer, why don't you go to Adam? And I was like, wow. So I truly believe in the referral business as much as possible. If you could make as many connections as possible and just let people know that you're always open for side work, yeah, that works. That's probably the biggest way I've gotten clients in the past.
So again, referral
Hmm.
equals networking,
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
putting yourself out there. That is the number one that basically I keep on telling my students on Career Foundry.
Hmm.
Network, network, network. If they go, well, I don't have a lot to offer, it's like, you have plenty to offer. What's your background? Be creative, ask questions, find something that you're really passionate about, and just say, hey, I can do this, and just start doing it.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest part is letting people know your story and what you do and what you're passionate about. I think that goes a long way too, because I mean, not a lot of people know what you do, and maybe they know that you do design, but they don't know what type of design. They don't know that you do websites. They don't know that you do print. And so letting people know, even just kind of dropping it casually, like, oh yeah, when I'm working on this website, that blah 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 blah. As long as you let people know that what you do and that you're always looking for side work, and work will come easier that way.
Yeah, it will, because if, just for example, if somebody is passionate about the ocean,
Hmm.
look up different stuff about ocean, or if your family's school or your niece or nephew's school it needs a flyer about something, just do it. Just volunteer your time.
Yeah, I mean, also a lot of that, a lot of other work I've gotten is through actually having to do free work. So, if you can find an organization that does like a non for profit or something that, as long as you're volunteering your time and it's not like people are asking you to do free work. So let's get into some news. There's a couple of articles that I wanted to touch on from last week. One was just a simple one. So there's one company that was kind of made a pretty cool marketing, just like a simple, fun marketing strategy last week. And I'm not talking about Ogilvy that changed their branding after 70 years. I'm talking about IHOP. So IHOP last week kind of created a lot of buzz. They changed their name. They changed their name from IHOP to IHOB. So instead of IHOP, it's IHOB. They sent out things saying, "Hey, what do you think the B stands for?" And so Terry, what do you think? What do you think the B stands for in IHOP? IHOB.
That is so funny because when I was in Hawaii,
Mm-hmm.
we were going to eat at an IHOP. And when we said IHOP, they're like, no, it's iHub. It's like, what do you mean iHub? Yeah, so we had a conversation about that, and it was kind of actually really, really funny because we're like, what does the B or the P stand for? And
Yeah,
half of
yeah.
us were like, well, we'll just call it a pancake place. Who cares? It's just a healthy place to eat.
Yeah, yeah. But it turns out that they changed it to IHOB because for the B to stand for burgers. So I guess what they did, it was all a marketing ploy. It was for fun, but they did this whole thing where now they wanted to announce that they were kind of going into the lunch, maybe dinner space, because they've always been known for breakfast and brunch.
Yeah.
And so now they're like, hey, we're changing our name to IHOB because we're going to serve burgers now. And so I don't know. I thought it was kind of fun because I like the idea of them. They created they changed their name. They created all this little buzz. People knew that it wasn't like serious, that it was all just a marketing ploy. But then I felt it was a great reason to. It wasn't just for like, oh yeah, the B stands for bacon, or now we're adding bacon to our omelets, or no, that's like it was a legit reason, and it really did help launch this kind of campaign to have these later meals with these burgers. And I was like, wow, that's pretty well done on their part. So I wanted to point that out.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. Let's see. Another one I have is the nextweb.com. They had an article, 5 psychological tricks to make people buy your stuff. Right.
Oh.
And so they talk about how you use psychology and how you see it used kind of in everyday, how you can use it. Right. Mm-hmm. And they have a top 5. I'm only going to do 3 of them so you can get the gist of it. But so the third one is less is more and a lot more. So there's a psychological thing. They did a study and they realized that when people are given too many options, they have what's called analysis paralysis. Mm-hmm. And so what happens is that they get overwhelmed by all the options that it becomes harder for them to choose. And so it becomes actually a negative effect. And so you kind of, I don't know if you ever had, I know I get that at restaurants. Whenever I go to a restaurant and there's like so many items on the menu, I get so worked up with trying to find the right one that like it takes me forever to find something. Whereas if I go to In-N-Out, I'm like, yeah, give me this. Like right away what you want. You don't even have an option because there's not that many to choose from. It becomes quicker. So what they recommend is, if you're going to sell products, that maybe if you can find ways to package them into small consolidated packages, and that way it'll be easier for the user to make a choice, and they'll be able to do it faster and more confident. And so I like the idea. I mean, you see that every once in a while where you get these websites that have like three tiered options of what to buy. And so yeah, I think that definitely works, and that's kind of a reason why people do that. It's because they're reducing the amount of options and reducing the risk that the user will be afraid, will be overwhelmed. Number 2 is authority, the ultimate influencer. What that is that our minds, we're already kind of rigged to listen to authority figures. They talk about this experiment called the Milgram experiment, where these people were kind of forced to shock people if they got the wrong answers, these electrical shocks, even though they, yeah. it wasn't a real shock. It was an experiment to see why, if they would do it or not. And it turns out that, yeah, they would. The main reason why they did is because there's a guy in a lab coat that said, hey, keep going. You need to shock them when they do something wrong. And so they did, and they got shocked. And the way that we use that now is we have influencers. So, I know if you heard YouTube influencers, it's where these people, they gather a large community, and then from there they're able to say, hey, I recommend this product, I recommend that. And it's because people have they kind of want to be influenced by an authority figure that they feel they're the expert on this thing. And so if they tell you to buy it, you're more likely willing to buy it from them. And then the last one was social proof. This one is that they use the example, if your friends jumped off of a bridge, would you do as well? And so that's the idea of where we're more likely to pick something that everybody else has picked, just so we know that, because we figure that if enough people have picked it, then it has to be good. So I know I do this, like when I look at Yelp reviews. So if I see that a lot of people go to this restaurant, I'll go to that. I figure enough people know what they're doing, so I'm going to go there. And so they say that the way you can use that on your website is by testimonials. So having testimonials will help give you that social proof that people are looking for. But yeah, what do you think?
That's funny, because the last one, also on the social proof of, when you stated, oh, well, this person tried it, the bridge. I remember my parents say, well, if they're going to do it, are you going to jump off the Golden Gate Bridge too?
I'm like, well, I mean, they're doing it. I got to check it out, see what's going on.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it just reminded me of that as well. No, but you're right. Definitely regarding a social proof is like, well, am I going to try this product, on my dog? Like new shampoo with something new. It's like, I'm not going to do it yet. But when you investigate it and when more people start to use it and it has good reviews, like, okay, I'll give it a try. And then they try it and then they find out they like it, or maybe it doesn't work for them. But at least that is an indicator of doing research on a product.
How do you feel about having testimonials on your page? Do you feel like that's effective?
I would say yes and no. It might turn out cheesy, read it, but then again, it might be really powerful. Depends how it's laid out, how it's designed, if captivated by it. If it's too much, if it's overwhelmed or too much, I'm going to be like, no, I'm done. I would go on to something else. But if it's the right amount of information and it's digestible in chunks, then yeah, I will actually sit down and read it.
Right.
But that's just me.
I mean, I've always been up in the air of having testimonials on your website. I mean, it's pretty much just like you putting your other people's reviews about you, on their site. And the only reason why I'm hesitant about that is just that you have no way of proving that any of these testimonials are real, right? Like, you're just saying, oh, Bob wrote that I've did amazing work for him for the past 10 years and I'm the most reliable person. But it's like, well, I mean, how does anybody know? There's no way to fact check any of that.
No, actually, there is a way to fact check that. I'm a prime example of that. It's kind of weird. If you go to, I know I don't want to advertise this, but anyways, I'm just going to share this. Okay. If you go to careerfoundry.com, and you scroll down, I'm like right there.
Really?
I didn't notice that. Basically, I was there, and that's how people, future students, who want to check out the course, they actually contact me.
Let's see. I'm going down.
I'm there. It's kind of funny.
There you are.
Yeah. So
well, see, but this is different though, because it has your LinkedIn profile, so they can find you.
Yeah, exactly. So again, this is of an extra level of saying this is of a real person.
That's true. In this case, this testimonial is pretty awesome to have, because it has definitely everybody on there, and I can click on you and find you if I need to and contact you. Yeah. Whereas, okay.
Yeah, and then actually, I wrote an article. I think it was what 4 months ago, about I was sitting my kitchen table, of working late and stuff like that. And basically I got of a LinkedIn message from somebody and from this guy saying, "Hey, I'm checking out the program. I was wondering," and it's like, what? I have an hour to kill. I didn't want to work. It's like, sure, here's my number. Call me. It's like, whoa. So we actually talked for almost about an hour and 40 minutes actually.
Wow.
And he kind of told me, he goes, I didn't know you were a real person. I thought you were a fake person. Like, no, actually, I'm a real person. And, I told him like, yeah, I'm working. I do this, this, and this. I'm all, trust me, I'm a real person. He just started to laugh. So,
but do you see his hesitance as well? See,
yeah,
he was
exactly.
also like, oh, I don't think, but yeah, I mean, it's great on his part that he was proactive enough to contact you. So that's great.
Yeah. So definitely, again, if you have doubts or something, reach out to that person. Like I said, 99.99% that they will talk to you, either email or they may do what I just did. It's like, here's my phone number. You want to talk, about my story, or talk about Career Foundry, or talk about, whatever coursework, have they done. And it's great because you make of a connection yourself, and you get inspired by their story.
That's true.
Because you understand where they're coming from, because you just did it 2 years ago.
So yeah, if you want to see the rest of the article, just check out thenextweb.com and look for the 5 psychological tricks to make people buy your stuff. The only other article I have for this week is from the Creative Block. They had an article titled 8 Portfolio Mistakes That Drive Clients Mad. And so
only 8?
Yeah, I know. I mean, there has to be a bunch, but I guess they consolidated it down to 8. And so I just wanted to do the top 4. I don't think these are really ranked in any particular order, but 4 and 3 kind of relate, I feel. Number 4 is you have too much confidence or too little. And 3 is, hold on. When it comes to your bio, I guess, your bio, where it says your bio goes over the top.
Those are the 2 main points that are so important. Oh my God, Adam, that is, you hit the nail on the nail in the biggest bullseye read ever across the Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah.
Think of you as a recruiter. If you get over 400 or even 500 or 120 resumes and bios, they're all going to sound the same, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So like, how can you be different? Number 1. And number 2, you were saying about being too confident and not having confidence enough.
Yeah, having too much or too little confidence.
Yeah, exactly. And that plays a big role of when you're talking on the phone, when you're interviewing, or even when you're doing a presentation at work. So you have to have balance and you have to practice. But anyway, I'm sure the article will definitely go on into more details as well.
Yeah, I mean, it pretty much says that, like, we get that you're trying to sell yourself, but then there's points where, like, it just seems too much, like you're too good to be true. And usually what they say, if it's too good to be true, it's probably too good to be true. And so pretty much that's what the article is saying. And I also think that, like, don't forget that these people that you're talking to, these recruiters, they've talked to a bunch of people. So they're going to know, they can kind of tell at this point if you're BSing them or not. Like they can spot bad car salesmen from a mile away, because they talk to, they're not just talking to you. They're talking to other clients, and they're not just talking to, talking to other designers, but they're also interviewing other vendors for things, anything. They're constantly talking to people to get work done. And so if you come in saying, "Oh, I'll solve all your problems," they're gonna smell a rat pretty easily.
Yeah.
Right.
I can solve the world's biggest diseases.
Yeah. But yeah. So as long as you're realistic and just point out all your best features, that's the best you can do. Yeah.
Being humble.
Yeah. So number two is you take credit where it's not due. And so I've seen this in the past when I have seen other people's portfolios that we used to work with. And I have seen where some of them would put that, like, even though they did the minors thing or they were the developer, they're like, yeah, I was I art directed this project and I did the design and I developed it. I was like, oh, really? In a team of like six people, you did half the work yourself, huh? That's interesting. You took the job of three different people. That's interesting. Have you ever encountered a situation like that?
Um, Probably not as much as you have,
Uh,
but I have seen it,
yeah,
and when you do see it, it's pretty much that person kind of stays in the same place.
yeah,
They don't
hmm
really like move too much. I mean, they do, but it's like eh, 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 versus somebody goes zoom, a little faster. So, you just have to be really careful with that. If you do work, on a really big project and your role was just doing production work, just making
hmm
all the edits, which that's fine. Nothing on this, but my role was just doing the edits. I didn't do any of the design. I didn't do any of the art direction, but I did this, but also too, I did this logo.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
They needed help and I did this logo, but everything else it wasn't done. And that's okay to say too in a project. At least the people that you are interviewing with, they know that you're honest about it and you're being humbled and you can explain who did what and what
yeah.
was the process, because sometimes explaining more about a project might be more important than versus the work because you understand.
And I think also the idea of that you've worked with a team in order to get the job done, because a lot of times they're always asking, they're like, oh, and how are you with working with teams? And you're like, yeah, I mean, just look at this project. I was a small part of it, but we were like a 5-man team, and this was my contribution to the team. And so we had to work together. We had, constant meetings. And so just the idea of letting them know that you work well with teams, even can even be beneficial. Yeah, the number one mistake that they have that drive clients mad, it's a real challenge to get in touch with you. I guess what happens is that people forget to they forget to make it easier to get contacted on their portfolio. So they'll have a contact page, or they won't have a contact page, and or they said what they'll have is just links to their social media. And they said, well, nobody really wants to add you as their friend in order to contact you or to send you a DM on Twitter. It doesn't work that way. You have to make it as easy as possible for a client to get a hold of you. And so, yeah, I mean, having a form field, maybe having your number on there. I'm reluctant to put my email like directly on my site, but if I do, I'd maybe have it like button, or I don't know. I'm worried about web crawlers getting my email and then sending me a bunch of spam. So I just have a form that people can fill out.
I'm like you. I do the form. If
Yeah,
they want to get a hold of me, I'll get the email for sure.
yeah, yeah. And then maybe you can have an auto reply kind of if you get a form message directly from your form field, that'll give them more information of how to contact you or something if you need to do that way. But as long as you have that initial form field, I think that's all you need. Like I have gotten responses through that, and so
Yeah,
it
me too.
works. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, that's all the articles I had. Do you have anything else, Terry?
Yeah, actually, I did find one article. It's actually on the Muse, and it's called.
Sorry. Yeah, let me finish that one. So you could finish the rest of the article. The 8 portfolio mistakes on creative block. Sorry, I completely forgot about that part. Okay, go ahead.
That's all right because it's called Ramblings of a Designer. So we just
Yeah,
ramble.
yeah.
That's all right.
I'm leaving that
Awesome.
all in.
Awesome. But thank you, Adam. I think you picked out really great articles and points, and to go with your article, I did find one, granted, on vacation. It was
Mhm.
very fun. But anyways, it was on the Muse, and basically it's underneath their career advice section. It's called How to Become a Designer at Any Stage of Your Career. And they give at least 8 points. I'm just going to go through of a couple. And the first one they stated is to understand the designer landscape. So basically, they're just saying here is basically design isn't just how things look. It's the first step is to understand of what it means, of the kind of roles, of what kind of designers of you want to be. And that question is so huge because there's UI, UX, front developer. I mean, things are changing. Titles are definitely changing and everything like that. So don't get too focused on the titles and
Mhm.
just see of what they do.
Even
Go.
within visual design, they have subsets that you can specialize in. So it just depends on what you really want to do. Do you want to do visual iconography? Do you want to do presentation design? Do you want to do just flat out visual design for web, visual design for apps? Like there's so many different options out there that you can specialize in.
Yeah. And then number two is I love number two at any if you're beginning, mid, art director, 80 years old, 200 years old, I don't care, but this is my favorite. Number two, make, practice makes perfect. There is no go-to for design learning. You always have to learn
Hmm.
what is creating your craft. Read books, build your own learning style. There's plenty of stuff out there on YouTube, on the web, your friends, everywhere. There's all kinds of stuff to learn, right?
Yeah. I mean, even just finding articles to do every week. Yeah, I'm learning so many just different things I'd never even considered. I was like, yeah, like learning about marketing. There's other articles I didn't even touch on that were dealing with marketing and dealing with just a bunch of other UX stuff. So I was like, wow, I mean, I'm always learning a bunch of new stuff every week.
Yeah, and then the number three is think like a designer. Basically, thinking like a designer is not gonna happen overnight.
Mhm.
It takes times to understand what you're looking at. How to design this space, not this space. What's negative, positive, what design patterns look like. I mean, and then thinking like of a designer, and that's what Adam was saying earlier. There's all kinds of different ways of design. There's like logos, there's print, there's motion design, there's doing
Mhm.
product design, prototypes, just doing wireframes. There's jobs for that. It's crazy. Or just picking colors on themes, or just being of a PowerPoint presentation designer. They
Mhm.
have a full-time jobs for that as well. So again, it's think like a designer. You can't pin this down overnight, but actually, I'll go into one more. You're not sure where to go. Number four is talk to other designers. So that's why I think Adam and I started this podcast, so we can start learning from each other and bring up great information and to share it with everybody else. Because again, I'm still on this road of what I want to do, and Adam is on his road of what he wants to do, and we are discovering things every day just from
Mhm.
being a designer and being in front of our computers, not being in front of our computers, and definitely take each day as a learning opportunity to learn something about yourself and learn about something else about somebody else.
Mhm.
So again, that was on the Muse, and the title is How to Become a Designer at Any Stage of Your Career, and that is underneath the career advice section.
Awesome. Yeah. I guess that's it for this week. Where can we find you on the internet, Terry?
God, that's a great question. You can find me at Terry Rodriguez Hong at .com, which is just Terry Teer, and then Rodriguez RODRIGUEZ, and then Hong HONG gmail.com. You can contact me there, or I'm on Twitter, which my handle is Foxen Inc. It's FLAXENINK.
Flaxen Inc. Awesome. And we'll have links to where you could find you online in the description. For me, if you want to contact me directly, I'm on Twitter at Adan Cepeda, AdanZepeda. I need to have like a landing page for myself, like that's opposite from my portfolio site. I don't know. I need to rethink all this. So it's a good learning experience.
Oh well, that's quite interesting, because on my website I just have my portfolio, and then I have me, and that me, it has all my stuff underneath me, like my bio, my blog stuff that I write, and some other stuff, and then contact. That's it.
Yeah, but it's like I don't know, it's like a different audience, you know. Like my site is more client orientated, but then what if I want to be contacted from other people that aren't client orientated? How do those people find me? And so I don't want to just give everybody my portfolio, because then they're like, well, I could just see your work, but what about like you? I don't know. It just seems like it's a different site altogether.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah,
That's another conversation, I think, too.
I know. We'll figure it
Some
out.
stuff, it's kind of weird. Some stuff I do agree with you, and some stuff is like, then why are you making it harder on people? Because if you have two different things, then what are you?
You have two different things for two different audiences, right? Like I don't know. Like for example, if another designer wanted to find me and contact me, would you say go to your portfolio site, or is that more triggered to people who you want to employ you, as opposed to people who you want to
You
get
know,
and network with, you know?
you know what? I think this would be a very interesting question to ask of our audience,
Yeah, it's true.
and see what they think. Because like we can have like of our own, A/B testing of like,
Oh, there you go.
because like my view is like, of your branding yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You want to have one theme encompass, but then again, it's okay to have different snippets about what you do, because that's you.
Mm-hmm.
So why
Mm-hmm.
would you want to bring it separate as having two personas? I don't know. That's just me. But you see it as you're this, but you're also this. But do you
Yeah.
separate it, or do you keep it together?
For example, let's say I wanted to post articles on I wanted to post articles kind of based on this podcast where we talk about design. Would having that blog where you're talking about the nine ways to spruce up your portfolio, to have that on your portfolio site, and so if you have a potential client that's like, oh, I want to see if I could hire Adam for a visual design job. Oh, here he has this article that's talking about ways to make your portfolio better. Huh? Is that, am I putting too much in my portfolio site where I'm
But that's you.
yeah, yeah, but but
Oh, you know what? That's a really
yeah,
interesting
we'll get into this, but
conversation,
yeah.
I think. So what would be the question to ask of our audience, or see if they can give their opinion
Let's
about
see.
that?
I don't know. Let's work on this. Go ahead.
No, no. Everything that I think we do is live, and it's on the spot.
Yeah.
I think, and to me, I think that's a lot more real, because we're doing
Okay.
it like right now physically. I'm seeing you in front of my computer.
Yeah.
You're in your happy place
My
and stuff. So
garage. Yeah.
what?
I'm on my garage. Is that?
Yeah. In your
It's
garage,
my
I'm in
happy.
my kitchen.
Yeah.
These are the only places in the house that's quiet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty much in the house. So 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 I I guess the question would be, if you're going to brand yourself, do you brand yourself as a one person, or do you separate of your two talents, if you're an illustrator and a writer?
Mhm.
do you have two separate websites, or would you combine them?
Yeah, I would say, would you brand yourself differently to target different audiences? Would you have different sites in order to attract different audiences? Something like that.
Yeah, no. I think I, you know,
I
I
like where
think
you're going though. I think you made more sense at that point.
not all the time, but thank you. I'll take that. I don't make sense. I don't think half the time in my life, but that's okay. Yeah. So yeah, definitely reach out to Adam or I, within of our emails, email us definitely. And, so what's your opinion? So what do you think? I mean, are you on Adam's side or you're my side? Well, actually, there's no sides, but you know what I mean.
I know, to be
Just make
honest,
it fun.
yeah, it's more just for us to know, because I would like to know as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, and even of a recruiters too, let us know what you guys think, because I think
Mhm.
it's I think that's a really good burning question. It's like, how do you market yourself, or how do you brand yourself as a single website, or do you separate of your
Mhm.
identity? Because it's pretty much out there is your identity, is like who you are. Do you separate that? Do you want to separate it, or do you want to combine it? But if you do combine it, how do you combine it?
Mhm. Awesome.
So
All right. Well, that's it. Thanks everybody
yeah,
for listening, and
yeah,
we'll see you next week.
yeah, I think we're done.
All right. Say bye.
Aloha.
Bye.